I'm sure some of you saw the title to last week's video, 5, 4, 2, and 1 year Hoya updates, and thought to yourself, he didn't buy any Hoyas 3 years ago? Of course I did. There were just too many to fit in that video without it becoming over an hour in length. So join me with a tasty beverage of your choice close to hand while we take a look at 3 year Hoya updates. And before we get this video started, I'd like to take this opportunity to send out a special thank you to Shirley C., who bought me coffees this last week, and to Cassidy, who signed up to buy me coffees every month. Your support for my channel is greatly appreciated and means quite a bit to me. It helps keep me in Hoyas and Discidias, technology and infrastructure. So thank you both for your support very, very much. And we've got some plants in bloom this week. First up, one I showed last week, my Pinguicula Moctezuma, and the bloom is finally all the way open. It is very pretty, very nice. Close-ups, of course, over here, and yeah, that was very cool. It was a long process for it to open, but that's just, it almost reminds me of a violet in there. Anyway, very pretty Pinguicula Moctezuma. And in bloom this week is my Hoya amicabilis, who's in bloom down in there. It's kind of at the end of its blooming, but if I can get some pictures, some close-ups, I'll put them over there. This is a really pretty plant. Those leaves are just beautiful. This one has been a very easy grower. It's pretty, it's got nice blooms. They bloom frequently. I can't detect any scent right now, but yeah, this one is a good grower and a good bloomer. And yeah, if you can find it, Hoya amicabilis is definitely, I mean, woohoo. I don't know if these dark leaves are going to show up well, but yeah, absolutely, it's a woohoo. So Hoya amicabilis. And the other one, and it's hanging over here and it's too big to show, but I did take some video of it, is my Hoya species affinity burtoniae. And this one I found at a big box store several years ago. I didn't quite know what it was, but I knew it was a Hoya and I knew it was coming home with me. And it's done very well. I keep looking because it lives over here in the summertime. But I did make some video, shoot some video, record some video, whatever the word is now, since we don't actually, well, we record, we don't shoot anyway. But yeah, it's blooming. I walked out here the other evening and the scent was almost overpowering, which is fine with me because, you know, I love some Hoya blooms. So yeah, that is Hoya species affinity burtoniae. And the first up 3 year resident here is my Hoya burmanica. Now, Hoya burmanica is native to Assam in India, to Bangladesh, Myanmar, Thailand, and Vietnam. It was first published in 1920 in the Bulletin of Miscellaneous Information, Royal Gardens, Kew. I love that title, Bulletin of Miscellaneous Information, by Robert Allen Rolfe. And this one is just starting to think about blooming. I don't know if I can get that peduncle in there to show up. I will put some close-ups. It is a monstrous plant. It is, and you see I found my handy dandy measuring tape, and it was indeed hidden someplace safe. This thing is over, what was that? Name tag. This thing is over 90 centimeters, over 3 feet from the top to very trailing ends. The leaves are very beautiful. There's some splash on them. They're long, narrow leaves. They're a medium green color. The leaves are firm. They're thinnish, but they're firm. They'll fight back. A nice long lancelet. This has just been a fun plant to grow. I will say that it is not for the faint of heart. It pouts. It's a thirsty plant. Number one, it's thirsty. It's very, very thirsty. And if it doesn't get its drink when it wants its drink, leaves will curl up and die overnight and drop. And you'll have, like, if you're going to have burmanica, just be accustomed to having some dead branches and some debris on the floor. But give it a good drink and it pops right back up. And it branches. I'm looking at it now and it's loaded with peduncles. I'm trying to find a good way to show just how cool this is. It's just very pretty. It does demand some real estate because it's easily 24 inches wide, and 24 inches wide is about 60 centimeters. That would make sense since 30, anyway, you know me in math. It's just done very, very well. I had it on the wall and it was getting decent light. It appreciated the light. It didn't seem to be thoroughly happy there. And it was getting very difficult to tend to because, as you can imagine, it gets into everything that lives beneath and around it. So as you may have seen in the Hoya tour, that was probably in section 3. I'll put a link to it up here. I moved it to the side of one of my 6-foot, 1.8 meter grow shelves. And it's right next to a southeast facing window. So if it gets any light, it's very, very late morning light for a very short period of time. And it has responded well to that location. Plus, it's a little bit more, it's not out of the way. I see it when I walk in the room. So it's like, oh, I need to make sure. This one and linearis live close to each other so I can see them. And, it's like, oh, he needs a drink. Time to give that one a drink. So, yeah, this one has done, I would say, rather well. I want blooms. It bloomed on a couple peduncles once, but I want more. It's supposed to be a good bloomer. I think this new location is being a big help for it. So yeah, this one came from Plants Wake You Up. Oh no, it didn't. I lied. This one came from Plant the Studio at their website, and this is Hoya burmanica. Speaking of Plants Wake You Up, you're going to hear their name frequently through this video. They are no longer selling Hoyas, or if they are, just very, very few. I had a great working relationship with them. I'm sorry they're no longer selling, but man, they were great, and thank you again, Plants Wake You Up. And the next 3-year resident up today is this Hoya verticillata, formerly known as acuta. Now, verticillata is native to Bangladesh, Bhutan, Brunei, Cambodia, South Central, Southeast China, and the Hainan Island, to the Andaman and Nicobar Islands in India, to Assam in India, to Java, Kalimantan, the Lesser Sunda Islands of Sulawesi and Sumatra in Indonesia, to Laos, to Malaya, Sabah, and Sarawak in Malaysia, to Myanmar, the Philippines, Taiwan, Thailand, and Vietnam. It was first published in 1821 in Revisiones Plantarum Succulentarum, Reviews of Succulent Plants by Adrian Hardy Haworth. And the name verticillata comes from the Latin verticillatus, meaning whirled or whorl. I still have not figured that one out. I know I make that comment frequently, but I still haven't figured it out. And I think this is just beautiful. It's just such a stunning plant. And when it first arrived, it put out a few solid green leaves. They have a little bit of splash, but that's not why I bought it. I wanted the splashy stuff. And still occasionally it will put out an all green leaf, but for the most part, it's that stuff. Now these leaves, the larger ones down here, are measuring about 5 inches or 13 centimeters. So that's one of the bigger ones. The others are smaller. But it's done very, very well. It has been no difficulty, no trauma, no drama. If it gets a little dry, it just seems to slow down. And if you give it a good drink, it snaps right back up again. So it's a pretty one. And man, those leaves are what you want, right? I mean, that's a gorgeous, variegated Hoya. Yeah, it's just very cool. Leaves are rigid, fairly firm, nice looking, no trauma, no drama, easy to deal with. Yeah, this is a fun one if you can find it. This one came from Plants Wake You Up, and this is Hoya verticillata, formerly known as acuta. And the next 3-year resident is my Hoya species Kalimantan. Now this is perhaps a calistophylla. I haven't gotten a memo from the front office that says that, so I'm not certain about it. I can understand it, but it's not official. This is native to Indonesia, to the island of Borneo and the province of Kalimantan, and the area region of Cao Bang. I haven't been able to find out anything else other than that. It is just, you get the possibility that it's a calistophylla. It is getting ready to bloom over here. Again, it's a ready bloomer. And this one grew for me like right out of the box. My calistophylla was pokey and really needed to get settled in. It finally did. But, it took it a while to get going. Not the case with this one. This one was like off to the races from the moment it got settled in. It has bloomed a lot. I should have pictures of the blooms over here. They're when you see them, you think, oh yeah, that looks like calistophylla or Finlaysonii or, that whole family, that whole group. So yes, this is done well. If you are attracted to that calistophylla look, this has been a good one. My calistophylla finally got its act together and is grown like weed for me now. So I'm happy there. But this one kept me going in the interim on calistophylla. Calistophylla, the green seams, and my calistophylla and this one are at similar light levels. The calistophylla has those great lime green leaves with the dark veins. This one is always going to be that color, which is looking a little dark here today, but it's always going to be that. So yeah, I've enjoyed this plant very, very much. There's a huge leaf in there that is measuring. Let's see what we're up to around there. We're at about 8 inches or 20 centimeters. So yeah, the leaves have the possibility of getting rather good sized, and I'm okay with that. It does take up a bit of real estate on the shelf where it lives, but I'm kind of okay with that too. So yeah, this is Hoya species Kalimantan UT158, and it's from Plants Wake You Up. Also here for 3 years is my little Hoya Tsangi. Now, Tsangi is native to the Philippines, to South Luzon Island. It was first published in 1988 in Hoyan by Christine Burton. And I got this because if any of you remember back a ways, when you bought a species affinity burtoniae, there were like 4 names on that tag if you got it from that company. And most of them were not correct. So when I had a chance to get an actual Tsangi, and this was listed as Hoya Tsangi, the real Tsangi, I thought I'd give it a try. Now, I like the look of it. I like the leaf shape. I like the size of the leaves. And it has grown for me, but I haven't found its Goldilocks spot yet, you know. It's either too bright or too dark. I haven't found just the spot. I had it growing fairly close to brighter light, and I got one of my fishing weights on the back. That's what's making the noise. So it was under fairly bright light, and it didn't seem to like that. And then I put it down so that there was something growing above it, and it really didn't seem to like that. And I thought perhaps it was just too much light. So now I've got it over, it's in the side fallout from one of my 6-foot grow shelves. I don't think that's the spot for it yet either. So I'm going to try someplace else. This might grow well next to the Dischidia along the front of my work desk in the plant room. I think that's where I'm going to try it next to see if it's happier there. The leaves are very interesting, very pretty. I'll put some close-ups because I don't know if this is going to catch all the details. It's got a nice trailing habit. It branches readily. Oh, maybe I lied. That might be a peduncle. Maybe it is happy and I just didn't know the signs. I just noticed it there. It's the first time I'm seeing it. So yeah, okay, maybe it was happy. I'll keep you posted on that. If this blooms, you're gonna know about it. So yeah, this has been fun. It's a nice little thin-leafed Hoya. The leaves are on the lower end of firm. There's some flexibility to them, but don't do that thing. And yeah, I've enjoyed this for the lack of growth and blooms and happiness it appeared, but maybe I was mistaken all along. Anyway, this one too came from Plants Wake You Up, and this is Hoya Tsangi. Bringing out all the plants to record, I thought to myself, you're bringing out all the big boys today. So the next one is Hoya Dakiae. Now, Hoya Dakiae is native to Sumatra in Indonesia, and it was collected in 1990 by R. van Donkelaar and D. Janink. And it was first published in 2000 in Fraterna by Ted Green, and it was named in honor of Dakia van Donkelaar. And I've said before, I'm not a big fan of the heart-leaf Hoyas, but these leaves absolutely won me over. They're just beautiful. They are rigid like plastic. These are not going to bend happily. They're not particularly thick, but they are very, very rigid. There's some splash. There's some recessed veins, one central recessed vein and then some side ones. They are very, very gorgeous, shiny on the top, and let's get some, this one up here from furthest out to in is about 5 inches or 13 centimeters and about 4¼ inches or 11 centimeters wide. When it first arrived, the leaves looked like that color. And as I put it under a little bit stronger light, they turned into these gorgeous big green leaves. They come in a little, let's see if I can show this, a little matte color in at first, but then they develop that characteristic shine. And it seems to appreciate, I mean, it's just off to the side of the strip of grow lights for that shelf, and it seems to appreciate that level of light. So yeah, very cool. Again, this one's in pond and self-watering, which it also seems to appreciate. And it needs a drink. I thought I did that, but anyway, I clearly didn't. This has been a really fun one to grow. It does require a bit of real estate, but I think those leaves are so worth it. They're just beautiful. This one has bloomed for me, I believe. If I did and I took pictures, then they'll be over here. I like this plant. It's very, very pretty. It's been no trauma, no drama. Even we had to deal with a little bit of flat mites in the plant room. This one just kind of slowed down. And once we finished the treatment and everything was okay, it just started back up again. So yeah, this one's been very cool. I like this one. This one also came from Plants Wake You Up. And this is Hoya Updates. Next 3-year resident is Hoya species NR001. Now, I haven't been able to find out where this is from yet, not even officially what it might be. It still has its acquisition number. So I have read that it is actually Hoya species affinity cinnamomophilia NR001. I had another source tell me that it is perhaps affinity parasitica. And I can see both of those. NR is the accession code for Ning Navaporn. And so maybe my best bet is to see if I can contact him. But it's a pretty plant. The leaves are rather nice. When you look at the leaves, you think, yeah, verticillata. But I haven't grown cinnamomophilia, so they could look just like they do, and I wouldn't know it. I can look online, but I haven't done that yet. It's grown really well. It's presented no difficulties, no trauma, no drama. It doesn't pout. If it dries out a little bit, it again just slows down. And when you give it a drink, it starts getting back to work and producing these beautiful leaves. So yeah, I wish I knew more about it. It's grown well for me. It's not been any difficulty, as I said. So yeah. This is okay, no complaints. It came as a free cutting from Plants Wake You Up, so even fewer complaints. If I get a free cutting, I'll of course try it out. So yeah, which is what I did. Again, this one came from Plants Wake You Up, and this is Hoya species NR001. And another 3-year resident is Hoya erithrina. Now, Hoya erithrina is native to Malaya in Malaysia and to Vietnam. It was first published in 1978 in the Malayan Nature Journal by Richard Edward Rintz. And the herbarium sheet note says Malaya, so that's probably where it was found. And Mel, absolutely you want to get your hands on one of these. This is one of the few plants that I refer to as being sexy. Those leaves, and he's a little thirsty. Those leaves are absolutely beautiful, I think. Just beautiful. This is growing under fairly bright light, so they're a dark green background with raised darker veins. They are sort of flexible when they first come in. They become more rigid, but they're never become more firm, but they're not rigid. There's some flexibility to them. This one has put up with a lot of less than ideal care on my part. It's a thirsty plant. The leaves are thin, the vines are woody, so it's thirsty, and it's a good sized plant. I had this one in a little 4-inch self-watering pot for a really long time, and I had to keep filling it up like a couple times a week, but it didn't seem to mind that. It got over it. And so this is now a larger self-watering pot. There is moisture in the bottom, which is good. I hope that's picking up all those beautiful details, but this is just a very, very pretty plant. It's just very, very pretty. It blooms a lot. It seems that there is always, and it's a drippy plant. It's a dripper. It seems that there is always nectar on the leaves and spent blossoms all over the place frequently. And it bloomed early on. I would say it bloomed within the first year. And I should have pictures of them over here. Yeah. I just think I hope it'll pick up on, it's a little dark out here today, but I think this is really, really beautiful. Man. It's been, again, it held up against the flat mites. It's been no trauma. It puts up with less than ideal care. It grows really well. It has always grown well for me. There were never any problems with this. And so good growth, blooms, nectar on everything. Yeah, this has been a whole lot of fun, and I really enjoy this Hoya. This one also came from Plants Wake You Up, and this is Hoya erithrina. This one's kind of cool too. This is Hoya species GPS 7240. Now, GPS is the accession code for Gerard Paul Shirley, and he is, or his company is, I think, located in the Netherlands. This is said to be related to Sigillatus, and VL9, which I'm okay, I'll buy that. I don't have any arguments. And it's just pretty. I can't tell you where it's from. I haven't found that information yet. But it was a little pokey getting started, and I had it under fairly bright light, and those leaves started to look like coffee beans, which was kind of interesting for a while, but then I didn't like it. It didn't really work as well for me. So I moved it to slightly lower light, and it went to this beautiful green color and just started growing there. So, as a matter of fact, to bring it out for this, I had to extricate this much vine. It had grown through one of the supports for the shelf above it and was off on a little adventure. The leaves have a little bit of splash. Let's see if I can find one that's got some good. They have a little bit of splash. They are rather nice. They're slightly pubescent on the top, more so on the underside, and just do really, really well. It's not a rampant grower. Perhaps if it had a little bit more light, it would. But, you know, space is at a premium, so you do what you can do. This has been really fun. It's a nice one to have. It's a nice kind of little Hoya that will do okay for you. I've heard it said that this is easier than Sigillatus. Once I got a decent Sigillatus, it grew really well for me, so I would put them in the same boat. But yeah, that's very, very pretty. It's very cool. I like the look of the leaves. I like everything about this one. This is Hoya species GPS 7240. And this one came from Houseplants on Etsy. Next up, I've got a couple Hoya ficci. Now, Hoya ficci is native to the Philippines, and it was first published in 2009 in Fraterna, the official bulletin for the International Hoya Association, by Robert Dale Kloppenberg. And this one is Hoya ficci yellow. And this one is Hoya ficci. Had no special designation on it. We'll start with the yellow one. This one has done very well. It has not bloomed for me yet, and I don't see any signs of pedunculage on it. It has grown well. The leaves are pretty enough. They are, actually feeling that one reminds me of Dakiae. Like this leaf is really, it's rigid. It wouldn't bend happily. And most of the older leaves are similar. But they're rather plain. I don't see any splash. The central vein and the ones on each side are slightly lighter in color. But, you know, they look like leaves, nothing fancy or, you know, amazing. But this one has grown well. It never gave me a moment's trouble. And it's doing all right. So no complaints. I would like to see the yellow for the descriptor that came with it, but that hasn't happened yet. So, yeah. This is the yellow one. Now, the regular ficci had a terrible bout with the flat mites, but the leaves on this one, and I have two of the regular ficci, and they look the same in terms of the leaves, and they came from different vendors, do not at all look like the leaves on the yellow plant. These leaves, I think, are very pretty. They are rigid. They are dark green with light green veins. The veins might be slightly recessed. Well, they're raised on this one, so who knows? They're either raised or recessed. And they just are very, very pretty. That's just like, you know, that's really neat. And this one got wailed on by the flat mites so much I didn't think it was going to make it. So I did order another one. I also moved it from, it was in one of those tiny little pots, and it was just not enough to, there's some roots coming out. There's moisture in the bottom. Life is good there. It was not enough to support this plant and make it happy again. So I moved it to pond and self-watering and a larger pot, and it seems to have appreciated that. It's also under slightly brighter light. Let's see if I can make this a little bit more. There we go. Slightly brighter light. It lives on one of the front corners of a shelf of my grow shelves. So it gets light from up here from that shelf, and there's another grow shelf on the side here, so it gets some fallout light from the side there. And it's like sparked right back up. I just think these leaves are really pretty. The other one I bought, in case this one died, it's going great guns. It's really happy. It's getting similar kind of light setup, but it's doing very, very well. So again, this one has not bloomed either. I'm even at this point surprised this one's still alive. It was touch and go for a minute. So the first one, Hoya Fichi Yellow, came from Plants Wake You Up. And the regular Hoya Fichi, which is now doing well, came from Plant the Studio. This is Hoya Fichi Yellow and Hoya Fichi. Moving on to my Hoya species affinity verticillata Vietnam. Now, because it's a species affinity verticillata, it probably grows in some of the same regions, but because this one has the epithet or the descriptor Vietnam, I'm guessing where it's from. And that's all I know about this one at present. The leaves are just beautiful. You couldn't ask for nicer, There's a lot of splash. They're a beautiful dark green color. They're a nice shape. It's grown, we had our fits and starts, he and I, but it's grown fairly well. It took it a while to get settled in, and it's growing in my standard, self-watering pot with pond, and there are some roots getting the moisture. So that's okay. It's just, those leaves are so pretty. They're shiny on the top. They're probably slightly pubescent on the bottom, but it's not a feature. I'm just guessing that they are. The splash is nice. There's a recessed central vein, some veins on each side of it, and it's just pretty. I'd like more of that kind of stuff. So we're being patient and letting it go. It's under a, what is that, like a 20-watt grow strip that sits, a good bit above it. So it seems to like that light. It has a nice dark color now. So it's been very, very pretty. This one has been a little slow. What can you do? It's growing. It's putting out new growth and new leaves. It's just not a rampant grower. So if you need that, if you're not willing to wait for, those kind of beautiful leaves, that's the scoop. This one too came from Plants Wake You Up, and this is Hoya species affinity verticillata, Vietnam. And the next one up is one I made a decision about a little while ago. Really glad I did. This is Hoya parviflora with the descriptor splash. Now, parviflora was originally found in Myanmar, but it is native to Assam in India, Myanmar, Thailand, Vietnam, Malaya in Malaysia, and Sumatra in Indonesia. And this one had grown very well for me. Very, very well. I mean, that's 3 years worth of growth, and that's really nice. I had it for a while. It was very close to the grow lights, and the leaves were getting pale, and I didn't like the look of it. So I decided to move it further away, and the leaves got dark and look like that. They are covered with splash, just absolutely covered. The leaves are flexible. When they're young, they get firm as they get older. They range in size on this plant from about 1 3/4 inches or 4.5 centimeters to 4 inches or a little over 10 centimeters. The larger leaves have developed when I moved it away from the brighter lights, which often happens with Hoyas. It's just beautiful. This has been a ready grower from early on. Just such a pretty plant. There is just one vine in this plant. So this is branches, this is growth like just incredible growth. If you like some splash on dark green leaves with this very lanceolate shape, this one has not bloomed for me, I don't believe, although I do see some peduncles forming now. So fingers crossed on that. If I was mistaken and it has bloomed, I will put pictures of it over here. But I will put close-ups of some of the leaves because they are very, very pretty. This one probably could have used an optimistic trellis from the very beginning. I didn't know that. And at this point, I would be reluctant to take this off of this trellis and retrellis it, although it would probably appreciate it, but that's not going to happen in the immediate future. Oh, gorgeous plant, absolutely gorgeous. And again, no difficulties, no trauma. It held up against the flat mites fairly well. It's very forgiving. It is a thirsty plant because of the size of the plant. But yeah, as long as I try and keep on top of it or get to it quickly, we haven't had any issues. This has been very, very cool. This one came from Plants Wake You Up. And this is Hoya parviflora with the descriptor splash. Next one has become something of a monster this summer. This is Hoya globulosa, Cao Bang. Now, Hoya globulosa is native to Bangladesh, to Yunnan, to Guangdong in China and the Hainan Island, to Andaman and Nicobar Islands in India, and to Assam in India, and Jammu and Kashmir, to Laos and Vietnam. But with the descriptor or epithet Cao Bang, which is in Vietnam, that's probably where this particular clone came from. Globulosa was first published in 1882 in Gardener's Chronicle by Joseph Dalton Hooker. Thank you. And the notes on the herbarium sheet say Reg Yamal. I haven't been able to find out exactly when this particular variety was discovered, but if you like Hoya globulosa, but its growth pattern is a little aggressive for you, well, maybe, I was going to say, yeah, that's definitely aggressive. I was going to say this one is probably not quite as aggressive, but I'll show you in a moment. The leaves are a little bit smaller, a little bit shorter, proportionally a little bit wider than the regular globulosa. They are as pubescent on the top and as velvety on the bottom. That has held true. But this one this summer has put out these two major vines. They are, this one is easily 28 or 71 centimeters, and that one is easily 32 inches or 62 centimeters. This is already on an optimistic trellis. I'm going to have to figure out what to do with these kids. They're leaning on some other Hoyas. They just started growing. It lives year-round in the corner of my southeast, southwest facing window, where it gets a decent amount of light, where it also gets dusty because that window gets opened frequently during the summer. And it seems to like it there. Again, that corner sounds dangerous for Hoyas, but in the summertime I have a lot of trees right around that window, so it gets dappled light most of the day. And in the winter, the sun is a much lower angle, so it's not as tough on this plant, but it is very, very pretty. If you've been thinking about globulosa, but were worried about the size of the leaves, although this one tucked in here is pretty large, Cao Bang might be a nice alternative. The leaf, the internodal spacing doesn't seem to be as big as it does on the regular globulosa. The vines will get, good sized. That's a thick vine. The vines will get slightly woody, so the vines hold some moisture. The leaves hold some moisture. This one too is very forgiving. During when we had some really, really hot days this summer, this plant dried out quite frequently, and it didn't phase it, just carried on. So I like I said, if the regular globulosa intimidates you or a little bit, or think, I'm not quite sure, look for Hoya globulosa Cao Bang. It's very, very pretty. It's very neat. Veins are slightly raised. They're a little bit darker than the dark background. Yeah, I've had no problems with this one. It's put up with a lot, and it just keeps on going. This one too came from Plants Wake You Up, and this is Hoya globulosa Cao Bang. Now we come to Hoya lacunosa, Durian-Perangin. Now, Hoya lacunosa as a species is native to Brunei, to Java, Kalimantan, and Sumatra in Indonesia, to Malaya, Sabah, and Sarawak in Malaysia, to the Philippines and Thailand. And this particular variation, subspecies, variety, came from Langkawi Island, and that's in Thailand. I hope I said that. I hope I'm right about that. If not, I'll correct myself. And was originally sold as Hoya lacunosa Perangin durian. But Miro pointed out to everyone that there is no Perangin durian. However, there is a Durian-Perangin, so that's the name I've been using for it. He also speculated that because Durian-Perangin is a waterfall, and Durian-Perangin waterfall is on Langkawi Island, that perhaps this lacunosa and lacunosa Langkawi Island are in reality the same plant. And I've heard back and forth. I'm not a botanist. I'm going with what was on the plant when it showed up. This is so pretty. It's so pretty. The leaves are just nice. And this one is in bloom, and I just got a hint of the bloom. Now, someone told me they didn't like it because they thought it smelled like cat pee. I've never had cats, but I kind of like that smell. That could mean that I'm really weird. What is? Oh my goodness. Sorry. That's a Hoya seed. I don't know where it came from. I'm wondering if it came from somewhere here, or one of its neighbors. I'll have to look at the neighbors. I don't see any more of them here. I need to plant that to find out what it is. Because I have a whole bunch of lacunosas all growing together, and it could be anybody's baby. I'm going to have to do some looking. Whoops. There's another one. Okay. Oh, now it's got me looking real carefully. Sorry, it's taking up time, but if there's other seeds on here, I do want to find them. I don't see any more right now. Anyway, this is very, very pretty. The leaves seem smaller than some other lacunosas, but they're definitely lacunosa leaves with a central raised rib, and the side ribs are also raised. It will sun stress, but right now it's growing fairly close to a grow light, and there's some kind of like darkish red hues to this, but darkish red hues to the leaves, but not what I would call sun stressed. It's very pretty. This one has grown quite well. This is easily handy dandy measuring tape. He said as he dropped out of frame, about 28, 29 inches, or about 71 to 74 centimeters. And I have trimmed this. Matter of fact, I think some time ago I gave it a serious hack. And it just bounces right back. It's a good little lacunosa. It's very pretty. I like the tiny leaves on it. I think they're just neat. Very, very pretty. No complaints, no arguments. You know, as I said, this at one point, this was the it plant. This was insanely expensive, very difficult to find, and it was, you know, at a reasonable price. There's no reason for it to be that expensive now, since it grows rather readily. And it's a cute little Hoya. It really is a cute little lacunosa. Very cool. Was that another one? Oh, yes. There's another seed. I'll hold on. Let's do. I don't know whether that'll even focus on that, but that's a lacunosa seed, or it's somebody's seed. Could be lacunosa. Yeah. Really great lacunosa. If you're into lacunosas, this is a really neat one to have. Look around for it. If it's expensive, wait. The price has to come down because there's no need for it to be insanely expensive. This one came from Plants Wake You Up, and this is Hoya lacunosa, Durian-Perangin. I'm kind of excited about finding those seeds. I'm going to look around and see, if maybe if there are others up there in that vicinity. And I'm going to go back and look at my friend Mona, Plant Therapy 1860, because she's had great success with Hoya seeds. So yeah, Mona, I'm going to go take some notes and see what comes out of all these, because now I got a couple little containers of seeds to try out. So very cool. The question for the comments this week is, what Hoya cuttings do you give away most frequently? Like if people say to you, oh, I'd really like to try a Hoya, or I'd like to try some, what's the one that you can give to people and have a relative degree of surety that it's going to be successful? The question last week about what's expensive where you are, that was really, really interesting, because for example, somebody was posting about prices in New Zealand, and when we translated, New Zealand dollars into US dollars, they were comparable. So that was cool. Other things that were expensive when I didn't think they should be. But that was a very interesting discussion. So thanks to everybody who added to that. But what Hoya cuttings do you give away to folks or sell? You can sell them for all I care. What Hoya cuttings can you pass on that you are fairly certain are going to be successful for other folks? And add that to the comments below. And as always, I want to thank you for choosing to spend a little bit of your time with me this week's end. Please remember to click the thumbs up like button, the subscribe button, the notification bell. They all help my channel grow. A lot of the products that you've seen me use are available in my Amazon storefront. There's a link in the description below. I receive a small commission on the sales from the storefront, and it's another way of helping to support the channel. If you're in the market for grow lights, there's a link in the description to the Sansi Light website. And if you use my code, PLANTEDIN-RI, you'll receive a 30% discount from the prices you find there. I've got a couple Sansi lights now, and I'm about to order some more, and I've been very, very happy with the results. Also, the prices are really reasonable. If you'd like to support the channel directly, there's a link in the description to my Buy Me a Coffee page, or there's a thanks button down here that's run by YouTube, and they take care of all the processing for that. There's going to be links to a couple more videos over here on the side, and please enjoy the rest of your week's end.